I have a friend from New Jersey who explained to me a situation they have there where they have a primary candidate who has more name recognition, more funding, more establishment, and who they tell me has given the cold shoulder to several of the grassroots county-level activist patriot groups in New Jersey on multiple occasions. And so a lot of these groups have gotten together and they've picked one of the underdog candidates that they really like and they're supporting. So they're hoping their candidate wins the primary in 2025. And that primary is coming up. We're in January of that year. But my friend from New Jersey noticed that Scott Presler has been coming into New Jersey and starting to prioritize that governor's election. And the question was, what do I think Scott Presler will do as far as supporting the candidate they like during the primary? My answer to that is, I don't think Scott Presler will take any side during the primary. What he will do is come out stronger than you've seen before and generate a massive wave of support for whoever wins the primary in the general election. We saw this with Pennsylvania Senate candidate McCormick, who did win that election. He wasn't my favorite. My impression of him was sorta maybe a little empty suit. He said some things that were more Israel first than I would have been comfortable with. If it wasn't 2024 during the most important election of our lifetimes, my number one goal was getting Trump elected. My number two goal was delivering a majority in both houses of Congress for Trump to get done what he needs to get done. So during the election, if McCormick said or did some things that weren't my favorite, I kept my mouth shut about it. And Scott Presler is in that mode all the time, year-round, every year, even during the off years. His number one laser focus is doing what he's good at and getting people elected, getting that ground game going for Republican candidates in elections. We saw this when everyone was talking about Elon Musk and the H-1B visas. Scott Presler put out a tweet saying something to the effect of, I like all the discussion that's going on, but it's not my place to take a stance on this. He said that his only focus was working on elections. And that's the attitude I'm almost certain he's going to bring to this New Jersey primary. He's not paid to decide who wins the primaries, he's paid to focus on the general. And when I say he's not paid to, after 2024, I mean that in the literal sense. In 2024, we saw him meeting with Laura Trump, going to the Mar-a-Lago. We saw him speaking on stage with Donald Trump. During the 2024 election, he started being financially tied to the RNC. So when I say he's paid to focus on the general elections no matter which Republican wins the primary, I mean he is literally paid to focus on the general elections. He is a wonderful tool for right-wing politics for getting people elected who are gonna end the woke stuff, but each tool has a different purpose, and the purpose of Scott Presler, the use for that tool, is not primarying rhinos. As far as that goes, the New Jersey grassroots groups are on their own. But this touches on a wider discussion. The word groyping, millennial right-wing online people will know what this word means already. It is a verb. It describes the type of criticism that comes from someone on the further right, directed towards someone who is moderate right-wing, either that or extremely pro-Israel right-wing. And there is a time and a place for it, and the 2024 election was not that time or place. Like I said, I bit my tongue when Dave McCormick was up on stage talking about Israel being our greatest ally. I was at that rally passing out Dave McCormick yard signs and stickers to people, because a super important election like that is just not the time to split the party. Nick Fuentes, are you listening? The person who tried to tell us that Kamala Harris would be a better diplomat to the Middle East than Donald Trump. The most important election of our lifetimes was not the time to split the party. However, now, in early 2025, we're a year away from the midterm elections, we're 3 years away from the next presidential election. I struggle to think of a better time to bring up discussions that need to be had in the right wing. I struggle to think of a better time to try and course correct our movement. Things like the H-1B visa debate. Now is the perfect opportunity to show Trump, Don Jr., Elon, all the big names in the movement, that, I like the way Sam Hyde said it best, people are not interchangeable economic units. That's what we need to show them. We need to stand up as a massive unified voice and say that. I think Sam Hyde's video on that was a very good way to do it. But that and discussions like that, I struggle to think of a better time than right now, this current season, to have those types of talks. And by the way, to identify which people we're going to go after in the primaries of the next midterm election.